Welcome! Cripple-Ass TV presents This Old Bus. So you found the bus. I'm going to show you the basics. My name is Andrew Kieswetter, your presenter, and I'm going to continue on from my first video, and I'm going to show you what to look for since you have found a bus. Thank you, my dear. My wonderful production assistant has handed me the camera, and we're going to step back a little bit, and we're going to first go towards the front of the vehicle. So this time we're going to look really closely. If you're old like I am, we're going to look at something that we don't have to bend over quickly. So we look at the windshield seal. Look for rust around the perimeter of the windshield. Lift the seals, especially at the corners. Don't mind the bird poop. Look for evidence of repair. Evidence of repair is not a bad thing, but you want to be careful with this one. Let's look down below. Look for any obvious collision damage. Yes, anything can be repaired with enough money and time, but you look for damage. Sometimes there's a little crinkles now and then. We look really closely on this bus. There's a little crinkle under the signal light, but I don't see any body filler, which is a good sign. So the bumper looks like it's had a few minor hits, but nothing out of the ordinary given its age. So now looking around the bus, we look at the roof. We're not going to crawl up there. We don't have to, but you can pretty well tell if it looks pretty symmetrical and it hasn't had an elephant sitting on it. So now we're going to drop ourselves a little bit and have a look. Look at the way the door fits. Do the doors fit well? Does everything seem to work properly? Do the doors open and close well? We demonstrated that in the first video, that the doors could open and close well. Then there's that dreaded R word. You know what it is? Rust. Let's look closely. This bus has had some repair. I've replaced this entire quarter, or running this length underneath the sliding door. And this is very typical what you'd find. Now I'm not going to go underneath the bus. This is for another chapter. Let's move around the back end. The back end has a few little dings and nothing unusual. As I explained in the first video, there was some poor body work done here. We can look a bit closer at that. It's a bit ugly, but at least it's back to the original shape, and most of the filler is gone. Going around the side there again, look down the side, see how straight it is, and there again, evidence of rust. Evidence of rust repair, nothing unusual. A little bit of rust here in the dog leg, not unusual either. So the big problem areas on these vehicles are underneath the doors and the floors. So this one I've repaired this floor. I carefully built a patch. It's welded in nice and tight and sealed. No more water gets in. You may ask, where did the water come from? Well, it's this windshield seal. These windshield seals are notorious for leaking. So we'll work our way back in the vehicle again. I'm going to open it up. Like I promised you, we won't be bending over too much for this, and no tools are required. Let's have a little peek. We're going to take this cooler out of the way, and we're going to lift the carpet and have a look under the floor. If you peel back, you'll see there's a little rust hole. Now I've killed the rust, and the hole is still there. One day I will weld it up, but this is a very typical area for rust for these buses. Very common. It's easy to fix, but such rust should be calculated in the price that you pay for one of these vehicles. You want to make sure that you think practically when you look at one. Close this up again. It's going around the side. Let's step back a little bit. There's that infamous rust. Now underneath is more of a danger spot, because rust can actually damage the frame on these vehicles. That can get you in real trouble. Now I'm done with just looking at things closely. Now I'm going to ask you to use your other senses. If you have seen this vehicle run, the vehicle that you have chosen to examine, use your nose. Go up to the top of the vents, these vents here. Stick your nose in there. If you smell raw gasoline or even exhaust fumes, the engine is leaking somewhere. Either the seals are bad or you have a bad fuel line. Very common problem on these things. Modern fuel is very bad for these vehicles. Any E10, E15 is simply bad. You have to replace the original VW hose with better stuff. There's too many of these vehicles have burned. So we'll step back a little bit. There again, the overview. Negotiation on the price can be varied. I highly suggest, if you're really like the vehicle that you're looking at, is to find a friend who is versed in these things, because they can steer you through it, because there are so many more nuances, because this is just the beginning of the chapter of owning one of these things. Once you're comfortable, then we're going to think about looking underneath and showing you what can go wrong and what should be checked underneath, and which should also be factored into the price. So until the next video, which involves a piece of cardboard and a flashlight, it's the only tools you're going to need. Thank you for watching. Signing off.